Kadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Taanit Daf Amud Aleph 26a1. Masechet Taanit says the new perek in Pirkei Avot, perek Revi'i. Yeah, we're going to put on our seatbelts, just lichvod David. Yeah, Bishlosha perakim bashana kohanim nosin et kapehem. There are 3 times in the year where the kohanim do birkat kohanim. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, arba pa'amim bayom. No, but it says 4 times a day. So they do it every single day. But there's 3 times a year that they do it 4 times a day. When shaharit, musaf, mincha, v'nilat sharim. Some people, they didn't even know that it exists during shachrit, right? But Baruch Hashem, nowadays they already know, right? When that even for shachrit there's birkat kohanim, right? But once upon a time it was only for musaf. So now the shachrit, right? That's not mine. You could put it. Yeah, shachrit, musaf, mincha, and nila. Okay. Beta'aniyot of ma'amadot or Yom Kippurim. On ta'anit. Taniyot, Ma'amadot, and Yom Kippurim. Remember, Taniyot is Taanit Tzibur. Ma'amadot are the Ma'amadot that they come and they pray. The Beit HaMikdash, Yom Kippurim. Elu en Ma'amadot. These are the Ma'amadot. The fish name, since it says in the pasuk Tzav b'nei Yisrael lekol b'nei lachmi l'ishai. Yeah. What does that mean? Which means that you have to command b'nei Yisrael, and you're going to tell me about my bread. Which means it's mashma from the pasuk by the Korban HaTamid is on all of b'nei Yisrael. All of b'nei Yisrael have to be shutafim, have to be partners in this concept. It says, how could it be that you have a korban of a human being and he's not there? Doesn't exist. It has to be, right? Whenever you bring a korban, you have to be there. So he says, so therefore the Nevi'im Rishonim, which is Shemuel and David, Shemuel, and David, they said, they went 24 watches of Mishmarot of Kohanim and Leviim, that every single mishmar is going to watch over in the Beit HaMikdash. So on every single mishmar, you had a ma'amad. What was a ma'amad? You had Yisraelim, right? You had Yisraelim, which was the ma'amadot, the Levim, which was for the Shira, and the Kohanim, right, for the service in Beit HaMikdash. When it became the time of that mishmar to go up, the Kohanim and Levim, they go up to Yerushalayim, they go up to Jerusalem in order to do their service. Yisrael shebeoto mishmar, and the Bnei Yisrael of that mishmar, mitkantzin la'arehem, they used to go into their city where they were. They korim Maaseh Bereshit, and every single day they would read Maaseh Bereshit. Yeah, so that's what they used to do for the Yisraelim. Yeah, fine. Here there's brackets. We skip out the brackets. Bayom Rishon, on the first day, yeah, Bereshit. Second day, which is basically Bereshit Aleph Aleph Tehei. Second day, Yirakia. Right? Third day, Bayom HaShani. Right? So sorry, this is the first day. So the first day you had Bereshit and Yirakia. Bayom HaShani, Yirakia v'yikavu hamayim. The third day was Yikavu hamayim and Yimeorot. But on the fourth day, Yimeorot and Yishutzu hamayim. The fifth day, Yishutzu hamayim v'totzei haaretz. Bashishi on the sixth day, v'totzei haaretz v'yichulu hashamayim. Parasha gedola korin ota b'shnayim. Any parasha gedola, which means when they used to take 2 parashiot, right? But they used to read the parashiot every single day. So when they used to take the big parashiot, korin ota b'shnayim, used to be 2 different people reading the parasha. But if it was a small parasha, right, b'yachid, 1 person would read it. B'shachrit u'musaf u'mincha nichnasin. So shachrit, musaf, and mincha, they used to go into the Beit Knesset. The korim al piem, korim al shema. They used to read Bal Peh and Maaseh Bereshit just like they read the Shema. Erev Shabbat u'mincha, on Erev Shabbat u'mincha, lo hayu nichnasin, they wouldn't go into the Beit Knesset at all. Mipenei kavod haShabbat, because of kavod haShabbat. Which means because of Kavod Shabbat, they wouldn't go in on Friday afternoons because they had to prepare for Shabbat. So they wouldn't go into the synagogues on Friday. It's called Yom Sheyesh Bo Halel. Any day that has Halel, in Ma'amad, there's no Ma'amadot. Right? B'Shachrit, on Shachrit. Which means, why? They didn't have time to do it. Right? Because of Kriyat Halel, which means the time that they used to sing the Halel, it wasn't just Halel was sung. So it took time. So since it was sung and it took time, so therefore, what happens is that they didn't have time to do the ma'amadot. If they had a day which had korban musaf, which means it has musaf as well, and nila, they didn't do nila also, right? And kol sheken, they didn't do musaf and mincha. Okay, why? Because they were busy with the extra tefillah, musaf. Okay, on the day that they had korban etzim, remember there were certain days that they had korban etzim, right? Which we're going to see now in a minute, right? So he says on the day that they had korban etzim. It says here it was 9 different days, right? But we already learned this, but it was 9 different days that they had korban etzim. No. To do with the mincha. So there's no ma'amad during mincha. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Amar lo Ben Azai. He says Ben Azai. Kach haya Rabbi Yoshua shoneh. This is what Rabbi Yoshua used to teach. Korban musaf. If there was a korban musaf, there's no mincha, right? But there is by ni'ilah. Korban etzim, there's no ni'ilah, but there is by mincha. Chazar Rabbi Akiva liot shoneh ki Ben Azai. And then Rabbi Akiva, he retracted to teach like Ben Azai, which means you see from here that there was a machloket when you substitute certain prayers. So according to Shitat Rabbi Akiva in the Havamina, because remember Rabbi Akiva retracted, but according to Rabbi Akiva in the Havamina, right? What did Rabbi Akiva say? Rabbi Akiva says if you have Hallel, you don't do Ma'amad and Shachrit. If you have Musaf, you don't do it in Mincha, and Kol Sheken, you don't do it in Musaf and Mincha. Okay, and sorry, you don't do it during Nilan. Kol Sheken Musaf and Mincha. And if you have Korban Etzim, you don't do Mincha. That was the Havamina of Rabbi Akiva. Then Ben Azai came and he retracted. Ben Azai comes and he says, no, Korban Musaf, then there's no Mincha, but there is by Ni'ilah. Korban Etzim, and there's no Ni'ilah, there is Mincha. Okay? Next. Zman Atzeh Kohanim. The time of Atzeh Kohanim ve'am Tisha. There were 9 times where they used to bring Kohanim. Yeah? He's dreaming. There were 9 times that the Kohanim, right, that they used to bring wood. Right? What does that mean? So it says that they used to bring wood for the Bet HaMikdash. Okay, 9 times. Be'echad ben Nisan was Bnei Arach ben Yehuda from the tribe of Yehuda on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Be'esrim be'Tamuz on the 20th of Tammuz, Bnei David from the Shpachat of David HaMelech ben Yehuda. Chamisha be'Av on the 5th of Av, and then Parosh ben Yehuda. Until now they're all Yehuda, all of them from the tribe of Yehuda. Right? So yeah, Parosh. Be'Shiva bo on the 7th of it, Bnei Yonadav ben Rechav. Ba'asara bo on the 10th. So look how many he had the month of Av. Because until now we had Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Tammuz. All of a sudden, Av, you have the 5th of Av, 7th of Av, and the 10th of Av, Bnei Sarah ben Yamin. V'chamisha asar bo, the 15th of Av, Bnei Zatu ben Yehuda v'Imaim Kohanim Levim. So here you also again had Yehuda plus Kohanim Levim, because on the 10th was from Binyamin. Okay. Then it says v'chol mi sheta'a b'shivto, right? And anybody that they made a mistake in their shevet, which means anybody that knows that they come from one of these mishpachot, but he didn't know from which time it came, which means that he would bring on the 15th of Av with Bnei Zatu. Okay, Ubnei Gonve Eli, and the children of Gonve Eli, Ubnei Kotzek Etziot, and the children of Kotzek Etziot, which we're going to explain all these things, because it says over here, the Bnei Kotzek Etziot is Bnei Gonve, they were in one family. The Gemara is going to explain why they were actually called like that, and we'll see it a little bit later on. Okay, Besrim Bo, right, on the 20th of it, they would bring Pachat Moav ben Yehuda. The children of Pachat Moav of Yehuda, so again Yehuda. Esrim Belul, on the 20th of Elul, again they would bring Bnei Adim in Yehuda from Yehuda, and then Echad Tevet, the first of Tevet. So Mamash, the right, the second last day of Chanukah. We just had now Rosh Chodesh Tevet on Sunday. So that they were going to bring Bnei Parosh Shniya a second time around. So they would bring twice. Now it's very interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of pilpul to understand why is it that the Bnei Parosh would bring it twice. Why were there so many in from Shevet Yehuda? One from Binyamin, you had Kohanim and Levim with Bnei Zatu ben Yehuda on the 15th of Av. Why is it that the month of Av had so many and everything else only had one? You understand? So there's obviously a lot of questions here, but this is what the Mishnah is teaching us. Okay? Yeah, let's see. So now it says over here like this: Be'echad b'Tevet, on the 1st of Tevet, which is Rosh Chodesh of Chanukah, right? Lo yabo ma'amad, there was no ma'amad. Why was there no ma'amad? Sheyabo alel, it had alel. Korban Musaf, it had Musaf. Why did it have Alel? Chanukah. Why did it have Korban Musaf? Rosh Chodesh. The Korban Etzim. Why did it have Korban Etzim? Was we just said. Parosh ben Yehuda, Be'echad b'Tevet. So because of that, so they didn't have nothing. They didn't have Amadot. Right? If you remember, because we said if it had Alel, there's no Ma'amad and Shachri. It had Korban Musaf, there's no Musaf and Mincha. It had Korban Etzim, so there's no Ni'ilah. So Mila, there's no Ma'amad. On the 1st of Tevet, so we already just mentioned this. There was no Ma'amadot Bichlal because they had Hallel for Chanukah, Musaf for Rosh Chodesh, Korban Etzim for Echad b'Tevet. Chamisha Devarim, yeah, Erud et Avotenu b'Shivasa b'Tamuz. So there were 5 things that happened to our forefathers on Shivasa b'Tamuz. Chamisha b'Tisha B'Av, and 5 things on Tisha B'Av. The Shivasa b'Tamuz on the 17th of Tammuz, Kavav Mubet. Nishtabru aluchot. The luchot were broken. Okay, Batala Tamid, the Korban Tamid was annulled. Hufki'ayir, right? The chomot, the city walls were no, but Hufki'u is how do you call it, where they broke into it? Yeah, they were breached. That's the word. Thank you. Breached. Right? Ufkai. Okay? Well, they breached it. They breached it. Breached means they broke the walls and they were able to come in. Sarafa postamos at the Torah. Postamos burned the Torah. He means tzelem ba'echal. He put a tzelem in the echal. The Tisha B'Av on the 9th of Av, Gazar Avotenu Sheli Kansul Aretz, was a decree that we're not allowed to go into Eretz Yisrael. The Charav Abayta Rishona V'Shniya, the first and second Beit HaMikdash were destroyed. The Nechresha Ha'ir, and the city of Jerusalem was plowed by Tarnusrufu Sarasha after the Churban Beit Sheni. Okay, Mishnichnas Av. Once the month of Av comes in, we're going to minimize in Simcha. Shabbat Shechal Tisha B'Av Li'o B'tocha, the week of Tisha B'Av that comes out in front of it. You're not allowed to take a haircut, to mechabes, and to wash your clothing. And on the fifth day, right? I mean, on Thursday, you're allowed to because of Kvod Shabbat. Erev Tisha B'Av lo yuchal adam shnei tavshilin. A person in Erev Tisha B'Av is not allowed to eat two meals, right? Two foods, right? You're not allowed to eat two foods. That's why I always say that Masechet is always one food, right? One tavshil, not shnei tavshilin. Lo yuchal basav lo yishtei yayin. You're not allowed to eat meat and not allowed to drink wine. So if you realize, and this is also Shitat Rambam, if you pay attention, right? That the only sood of meat and wine is Sudat Masechet, is Erev Tisha B'Av. The week before is not, right? There's no, right? That's Shitat Rambam. Our minhag, obviously, is not like that. Rashbag, Rabban Shimon Gamliel Omer, right? That it says Rabban Shimon Gamliel, Yeshaneh, a person should change, right? What does that mean? He should change, right? He should come and he should change
clothing.
Yeah, he says he should change, right? His hergalut. He should change his being accustomed to things. Rav Yehuda mechayev bekfiyat hamita. Rav Yehuda comes and he says you're obligated to come and to turn over the bed and not to sleep on it, but rather to sleep on the floor. Velo dulo chachamim, but the rabbis do not agree with it. Continues the Mishnah. Amar Rashbag, says Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, lo yayu yamim tovim liYisrael k'chamitzasa b'av u'yom kippurim. There were no better yom tovs, right? Holidays to Israel, like the 15th of Av and Kippur. So imagine what it is. The 15th of Av, they're equating it to Kippur. You know what that means? You're making it like a Yom Tov, like to Israel. Because then the daughters of Israel, the daughters of Yerushalayim, they used to go out and borrowed white clothing. Okay, obviously they would borrow it, even the rich ones, in order in order not to embarrass the ones that don't have the clothing. The kol kelim and all these clothing needed tevilah. Why? Because of tumat nidah. So they all had to do tevilah. So they would do tevilah on all the clothing. And the daughters of Yerushalayim used to go out and used to dance in the vineyards. What would they say? They would say, the pretty ones would say, Bachur, pick up your eyes and choose what you're going to do. Shuf einik. Yeah, check, look what you're going to decide. Yeah? Who's you're going to find chen? Amru, they said, Al titen. But then, the other ones, they used to come, these are the miyuchasot shebahen. Right? So the miyuchasot shebahen, we say, Al titen enecha banoi, titen enecha b'mishpacha. What are you looking at beauty? Look at the family. Why? At the end of the day, what is beauty? She becomes pregnant once or twice. Gamarnu, call a beauty Allah. And I said, well, what's that's it. So he says, and it says, and it says, what does that mean? Which means that. Let me read to you Rashi. You ever heard of Rashi? Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki. Rashi ala Torah. Rashi, not only the Ramban. Rashi. Shete Nashim. This is going to be in Perek Daled, Pasuk Yutet. Vayikach lo lemech shete nashim. Lemech took two wives. Shema achat Ada, v'shema sheni Tzila. Says Rashi, shete nashim. Kach hayad alkan shel dor mabul. That was the custom thing what they used to do in the dor mabul. Achal le'apirya v'rivya, v'achal le'tashmish. One for pirya v'rivya and one for tashmish. Zoshi le'tashmish, the one that she was for tashmish, mashke koshili karin, she used to give her to drink a koshili karin, kedesh te'aker, in order that she becomes sterile. Umekushetet kakala, she used to be always adorned like a kala. Machila madanim, he used to give her good food. Right? Remember, it's not like nowadays that in order to be pretty, you have to be anorexic. It was the exact opposite. Balat basar, that was more beautiful. So therefore, mama, she used to give her ma'adanim. V'chaverta, and the other one, the Zufak almana, she was like abandoned like an almana, but she was the one for the kids. V'zeu shapire shiyor, ro'a kara lo teled almana v'yitek kmo shvevedat. Ada is a pirya v'rivya, v'al-shem shemeguna alav u'museret alav. Ada targum shel surah, tzila hi shel tashmish, al-shem sheyoshevet tamid betzilo. But then what happened? And then it says, V'tzila gam hi aleda. Yeah, what does that mean? That it didn't work because she was the one that she had a kosheli karino. Also, she had child. She had tubal kain. What happened? So obviously, it was that it didn't work. There was a mistake here. But look at the Ramban also there. Ramban. And it says, what does that mean? That you have to give her from the fruits of her hands, and that's why. Because the miyuchasot, they were saying, why are you putting your eyes to beauty? Beauty is fake. Fake news. Right? What are you supposed to do? Mamash, the mishpacha. That's why it says, what does that mean? The Melech Shlomo, right, is the Melech Shashalom Shalom, which is the Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Which is Imor, which is Knesset, he says, Yom Chatunato is Yom Matan Torah, Yom Simcha Libo is Binyan Bet Amidash, that it will be built speedily in our day. Says the Gemara. Yes. So one more time, right? We said happy birthday. Right? We said it was 3 times in the year, right, that the Kohanim used to do Nesiat Kapayim. Remember, this is the Gemara on Kavav Mubet. Everyone pay attention, please. No phones. Right? Taaniot Mamadot, Mika Musaf, ask the Gemara. 1 second. On Taaniot Mamadot, we have a Musaf? We don't have Musaf, only when there's a Korban Musaf. So says the Gemara, no, this is the way you have to read the Mishnah. בשלושה פרקים כהנים נושאים את כפיהם כל זמן שמתפללים. On 3 times a year, right? 3 times the Kohanim are going to do נשיאת כפיים every time that they pray, which is basically Shachrit, Mincha, Ne'ilah. Because remember, Shachrit, Mincha is every single day of the year. Ne'ilah was also on Taaniot and Ma'amadot and Kippur, always. V'yeshmen 4 פעמים ביום, but sometimes you have 4 times a day. When is these 4 times a day? Shachrit, Musaf, Mincha, Ne'ilah, V'shanim. And these are the times, and these are the times that you have the 3 times, Taniot, Mamadot, Yom Kippurim. But basically, Korban Musaf was only Be'emet when there was a Musaf. When there's a Musaf, right, Korban Musaf, then you pray Musaf. Amram Nachman, Amara Baravua, says Nachman Baravua, Zo, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir. Aval Hachamim Omerim, Hachamim say, Shacharitu Musaf, Yesh Nesiat Kapayim, Mincha, Venila, and Be'emet. According to Shtat Chachamim, Nesiat Kapayim is only during Shachrit and Musaf. You don't do it during Mincha Ne'ilah. Okay, that's the Shitav Chachamim. Man Chachamim. Who's Chachamim? Rabbi Yehuda. It's Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya is we learned in the Braita. Shachrit Musaf Mincha Ne'ilah. Kulan Yesh B'hem Nesiat Kapayim. These are the words that are mean. Rabbi Yehuda argues and he says no. Shachrit Musaf they have Nesiat Kapayim. Mincha Ne'ilah em B'hem Nesiat Kapayim. Rabbi Yosef Omer Ne'ilah does have Nesiat Kapayim. Yesh B'hem Nesiat Kapayim. Mincha does not have Nesiat Kapayim. So says the Gemara. What's the machloket? Right, one more time. Rabbi Meir, right? What does Rabbi Meir say? Rabbi Meir says, you made a chart. That's on the chart. What did Rabbi Meir say? Rabbi Meir says, you do it on everything. Shachrit, Mincha, Musaf, Ne'ilah. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, Shachrit, Mincha, Shachrit and Musaf, yes. Mincha, Ne'ilah, no. Comes Rabbi Yosef, he says, no. Just like Rabbi Yehuda, which is the middle shita, but Ne'ilah, yes. Ne'ilah, yes. Right? No Mincha. You made this chart?
No, it's on Daf Yomi.
Very good. Yeah. Well, no, you have to put on his t-shirt so he could read it. Yeah? Very good. Okay, next. So what's the machloket between them then? So he says, machloket is Rabbi Meir Savar, Rabbi Meir holds, Kol Yoma Ta'ama, Mai Plopar Shekana Yadayhu Mincha. What's the reasoning why that the Kohanim do not do Nesiat Kapayim during Mincha, Mishum Shichrut? Because the Kohanim, they like to drink a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They like to, so what happens? They come, they start drinking, and then it's a problem. It's a problem. They can't do Nesiat Kapayim if they start to, yeah? Aval Hayina. But nowadays, like a Shichrut, it's a Taanit. If there's a Taanit or Mamadot or Yom Kippur, there's no Shichrut, right? So therefore, right, there's no problem. So therefore, they could do it also during Mincha. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Rabbi Yehuda holds Shachrit Musaf. He says in Shachrit Musaf, there's never Shechrut. So Lo Gazu B'Rabanan, so they never made a decree. Mincha, well, no, why? Because Shachrit Musaf, you're not allowed to eat before Shachrit. So you're not allowed to eat and drink before Shachrit. So for obviously Shachrit Musaf, there's no problem of Birkat Kohanim. Right? But he comes and he says, right, it's not Lechatchila. Right? So he says over here, so he says Lo Gazu B'Rabanan. that every single day it's common. It's common. Kazuba Rabbanan, so they did do gezerah. Rabbi Yosef Savar. Rabbi Yosef comes and he says no. Mincha dita b'chol yoma. You're right. Mincha is every single day. So they made a gezerah. Kazuba Rabbanan. But Nila is not every single day. So lo gazru b'Rabbanan. That's why they didn't make a decree. And that's why that even until today, on Kippur, what do? Shachrit, Musaf, and Nila. We don't do mincha. We do it in Nila. Why? Right? Because we're going like Rabbi Yosef. Okay? That's what we're doing. So Manda Amar, according to the Manda Amar, sorry, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav says Yehuda Rav Alacha is like Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yochanan Amar says Nagu Am Rabbi Meir. No, it was a minhag like Rabbi Meir. Rav Amar minhag Rabbi Meir. So what does that mean? Because we said it in three different, shitot. We said either we said the halacha. We said either the halacha like Rabbi Meir, Nahagu Am Rabbi Meir, or minhag Rabbi Meir. What's the difference between the three? So mandamar halacha Rabbi Meir, according to the mandamar, it says halacha is like somebody. So darshin la bepirkas. That's what we teach publicly. Meaning when I say the halacha is like someone, publicly I'm going to go out and I'm going to teach that way. According to the mandamar, minhag is like Rabbi Meir. Midrash or darshina, we don't actually teach that publicly, right? Because it's not the pashut that the halacha is like him. But if you come to ask, that's what we're going to say. But the mandamar it says nahagu aruy lo we're not even going to pass it in a way. But if they did it, they don't retract. Meaning we just leave it that way. Right, but it means we don't even tell them that. Even if they came to ask us privately, we wouldn't tell them that. But if they already did it, okay, they did it. I'm not going to tell them off. Okay, that's the shita. That's the minhag. No, nahagu is that we don't teach it publicly, but if they come to ask us, we say the minhag is like this. That's nahagu.
Our custom.
Okay, until here we're clear. Rav Nachman Amar, but Rav Nachman argues and he says the halacha is like Rabbi Yosef. That's what we do now.
We do today.
Because of this. Remember, we said halacha, which means lechatchila.
Not all the should.
We just said halacha Rabbi Yosef.
Yes, everybody.
The Gemara says it.
It doesn't even say even in Ashkenaz.
Yeah.
Remember, in New York, we always have them up. Okay, should we do it in the Russian? We're not going
to. 1 second. But according to this, so why not Taanit Tzibur would they do it during Mincha? Because at the end of the day, we just said that you don't only do it during Nilah, but not during Mincha. Because during Mincha, we make a Gezerah. So says the Gemara, since they're doing it so close to Shikiyat HaChama, and remember, Samuch is always within half an hour. So Ketfilah Nilah Damian, so it's like Nilah. That's what it means. That means Tefillah Nilah is always going to be within the half an hour of the Shikiyah, and that's why they were doing it like that. But according to all the opinions, though, a shikor is a subin nisiyat kapayim, right? A shikor, you're not allowed to. That means if you drink, that's it. You're not allowed to do nisiyat kapayim. And how do we know this? Says kapara. Lama nismecha parashat kohen mevarech the parashat nasir. Why is birkat kohanim so close to parashat nasir? So he says lomar manazir asubiyayin, just like the nazir asubiyayin. So to the kohen, it's going to be asubiyayin. So matkifla vua zera. So the father of Rabbi Zera V'Amil, and some people say it's Oshaya Bar Zavda. Ima Nazir is Subechartzan, right? Bevarech Asu Bechartzan. So he said, 1 second. The Nazir is not allowed to even eat the Chartzanim. The Chartzanim are the Garinim of the Anavim. The Garinim, the seeds of the pits or the seeds of the grapes. Okay, so what? Also, the Kohen is going to be asur to eat that. But Rabbi Yitzchak says no. Makar says in the pasuk, Lesharetol Varech Bishmo. Ma mesharet mutar bechartzan. Just like mesharet is going to be permitted in chartzan, so to the kohen mevarech it's going to be mutar bechartzan. Right? It's going to be permitted in chartzan, and bezat Hashem we continue tomorrow.